Hi, boys and girls. Brother Eddie here. I'm really happy to be with you via video tonight. We were asked by Sister Crothers if we wanted to participate in the talent show, and I thought, well, Brother Eddie, hop in. You can do this. Maybe you'll have some fun. You can see I've got on my Sunday cowboy shirt. I thought it'd be nice to share it with you, boys and girls. People really like this shirt when I wear it. I know because I get a lot of compliments, like people shouting, "Hey dude, like your shirt," or "Hey buddy, did you lose your horse?" And I know the ladies like it because they kind of grin and giggle just a little bit, so sometimes I wear it just for the ladies. But I thought you boys and girls might like seeing my Sunday cowboy shirt, so I decided to wear it tonight when I tell you a story. I come from a long line of storytellers. One of the greatest storytellers I've ever known was my grandpa, B.L. Gardner. It used to be so much fun just to lay on the floor late at night and listen to my grandpa tell stories. Oh, could he tell a story. One thing I learned when I got at a pretty early age was that sometimes B.L. stretched the truth just a little bit, and he didn't let the complete and absolute truth stand in the way of a good story. I think I was about 25 or 30 when I figured that out. And so I decided if I'm going to tell stories, I want my stories to be based in complete and absolute truth. So when Brother Eddie tells a story, you can know and be assured, boys and girls, that it's absolutely true, mostly. Well, I've got to set you up just a little bit so you'll understand some things. Some of you boys and girls have relatives who are hunters, and those of you who have dads or grandpas or grandmas or moms who are hunters, you understand that you have to get the proper sized gun for the game that you're going to shoot. You wouldn't take a BB gun to hunt for deer, and you wouldn't take a high-powered rifle to shoot a squirrel. So it's appropriate that we get the right caliber of gun. If we use too big of a gun on small game, it just tears all the meat up, and then it's no good. There's no squirrel for supper when you use too big of a gun. I've learned that. Well, that'll become important to you at some point in the story, so don't forget that. Well, boys and girls, when Brother Eddie was young, and you're going to find this hard to believe, I was ugly. Turns out I was an ugly kid. Now you're saying, Brother Eddie, it cannot be. Tell me that's not true. It's true, boys and girls. So, being the truthful storyteller that I am, I have to honestly say I was an ugly kid. Sister Eddie and I have had ugly kids, so we know how challenging that can be to be an ugly kid. The 5 happiest days of our lives is when Sister Eddie and I found that there were 5 other human beings out there in the world who were willing to marry our kids. So we know how challenging it can be to be ugly. Well, I grew up there on the banks of the Snake River in eastern Idaho. Not only was I ugly, but we were poor. And because we were poor, we had to eat a lot of wild game. My dad shot pheasants, and he shot doves, and he shot geese. He shot deer and elk and moose and those wild ducks. We ate a lot of wild ducks. I can still taste that greasy, rancid, smelly, strong, gamey taste of duck. I long for it sometimes, but you can't always get the things that you want in life, so you just have to adjust and move on. Well, boys and girls, Brother Eddie was so ugly and we were so poor that we had to be resourceful. Otherwise, there'd be no eating there on the banks of the Snake River. So my grandpa B.L. Gardner took me and my brother out along the river, and he said, boys, today I'm going to teach you about ugly and ducks. Ugly and ducks, I thought. Wonder what that is. Well, there's this little duck that lives on the banks of the Snake River. It's called the teal duck. That teal duck is kind of round in the middle, pointy on one end and pointy on the other end. When they fly in, you can't always tell if they're flying frontwards or backwards. They look, because they're so pointy on both ends. But in came a little flock of these ducks, and my grandpa turned my brother Jerry towards the ducks, pulled off his hat, and bam, just like that, when those ducks saw my brother, saw how ugly he was, it killed him dead. And my grandpa said, you boys get the dog and let's get him to get those ducks out. Oh, our dog Rex loved to get ducks out of the river. He got so excited he would try to run away, so we'd have to pull him back and get down by the water's edge. And he was so excited, he always liked to go in tail first, and sometimes we had to help ease him into the water to go get those ducks. But he'd go get them, and he'd come in because he knew there was going to be a little extra help in a co-op dog food with some grease drizzled on it, make it palatable there at night for dinner. I wonder if bacon grease is good on duck meat. Never thought about that. I'll bet it must be. Anyway, boys and girls, we spent a lot of Saturdays out uglying ducks. Grandpa'd rip our hats off, and those ducks would see us drop dead in the water. Rex would anxiously go in and get them, with a little bit of help from us, and bring them in. One day we went uglying ducks, and Grandpa said, Doug, I've got a special assignment for you. So my grandpa thought Brother Eddie was a top-notch security kind of person. He said, I want you to stay right here hid in these willows with the boat. Don't you let anybody steal our boat while me and your brother Jerry go and ugly us in some ducks. I was pretty proud of my new job at security detail there, guarding the boat rather. One day, while I was guarding the boat, through the willows comes a man, and he's got a badge on. He said, my name's Harley Harris, and I'm the game warden. What are you doing here? I said, well, I'm just guarding this boat for my grandpa and my brother who are out uglying ducks. He said, what do you mean uglying ducks? I said, yeah, they're uglying ducks. Just then, Grandpa B.L. Gardner comes through the bushes with my brother Jerry, and he's got a bag of dead ducks, and Harley got a little bit upset. He said, B.L., you know that this is not duck hunting season, and you can't be out here shooting ducks. And my grandpa B.L. says, well, Harley, we're not shooting these ducks at all. You can see we don't even have a gun. And Harley said, well, how are you killing these ducks? And my grandpa said, well, let me show you, Harley. And he turned my brother around, faced him towards the river. Just then this this flock of little teals come flying low over the water. I think they were flying in backwards. But he ripped my brother's hat off, and boom, down went those ducks. And Rex, our dog, couldn't wait to go get those ducks, so we helped him into the water to go get them. And he went after those ducks and brought them in. And Harley just stood there with his mouth open. Harley Harris, the game warden, said, B.L., I have never in my life, in my 40 years of being the game warden, seen anything like this. He said, both these boys ugly ducks? And Grandpa started getting just a little sheepish. He said, yeah, they can both ugly. We mostly use Jerry for uglying the ducks, though. Doug's doing security over here guarding the boat. And he said, well, why don't you use Doug to ugly ducks? And I was so proud of my grandpa trying to protect me. He said, well, we don't like using Doug that much. And Harley says, well, why not? He's equally as ugly as his brother Jerry. In fact, I think he's one of the ugliest kids I've ever seen in my life. And Grandpa got a little sheepish at that point, and he said, well, Harley, we used to use Doug to ugly ducks, but he just tore them up too bad. So, boys and girls, hope you enjoyed Brother Eddie's story. I love you. I miss you. Anxious to be back with you again. Let me leave you with a little bit of cowboy advice. Always remember to stay on the right-hand side of a milk cow. Stay on the left-hand side of a good riding pony. Keep your head out of the wind. Stay out of the barbed wire. And boys and girls, and brothers and sisters as well, always remember to drink upstream of the herd. Thanks, boys and girls. See you soon.